It's the Stand On It podcast. It's true.
Sit down, you gotta stand on it. If it's for certain, let's have around, you gotta stand on it. Open the curtain, it's going down, you gotta stand on it. Cause I put my stamp on it, so you gotta stand. You gotta stand on it. 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 You gotta stand.
Welcome to another edition of the Stand On It podcast. I am your host, Truth. We gonna hop right into this thing tonight. We're not calling anybody for the icebreakers, cause I'ma handle the icebreakers. But it's really just gonna be one icebreaker. Well, I'm gonna drop some knowledge on y'all, give y'all some jewels. So, I don't really follow too much of what's going on in celebrity news or any of that. But somebody sent me this and asked me my thoughts. So just looking at it, I'm like, man, I can just drop people so much knowledge on this because you can apply it in everyday life. But we're going to get into this Meg the Stallion and Pardison Fontaine relationship debacle. And I'm going to show y'all how y'all just doing the exact same things and you're not really realizing it. Then after that, we're going to transition into, we're going to be talking about greed. And we're going to check it out and break it down through this video from NBA referee, former NBA referee, Tim Donaghy. All right, so let's get into it. So, Pardison Fontaine was dating Meg the Stallion. So, let me paint the picture. They came together. He wrote on some of her biggest songs. He wrote on WAP. He's also written for Cardi B. He wrote the song, the remix with her and Beyonce. So he got a heavy pen game. Lot of bread. Like, he behind the scenes with it. But he's also an artist of himself. So when Meg was going through the trial with Tory Lanez, they were in a relationship then. And look at the screen. This is what he posted then. He says, to any woman, especially ones of color, that has suffered an injustice, I feel for you. When you do find the courage to speak up, it seems you will be ridiculed. Your credibility will be questioned. Your entire past will be held under a magnifying glass. In an instance, you can go from victim to defendant in the eyes of the public. To anyone with a daughter, sister, mother, niece, or aunt, I pray for their protection. I pray for their covering. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. All right? So, sounds good, It's a man being there for his lady, what he should be doing. All right? Pardi went even as far to get a feminist tattoo. Yeah, he tattooed feminist on his body. I mean, he was completely just locked in with Meg and just making sure she was good. Outside of that, he did this poem. Check out this video. Did a poem for Meg.
There's a lot of beautiful women in the audience right now. The piece I'm about to do is about another beautiful woman that I know. Look, you're a survivor, but not a victim. Somewhere in between, God forgive them and I gotta give them. That's why you don't never let these bitches get you out your rhythm. You treat these niggas like they buy one, get one. You out here working to keep your mind off hurting. You out here working to keep your mind off hurting. Your to-do list is buying candles, shop for curtains. Find your purpose. You in your bag, not just Birkins. You know your happiness cannot be purchased. It's deeply rooted and not just surface. Your dream ain't big enough if you think about it and not get nervous. If you need me, girl, I'm at your service. My pillow's soft, but not too soft, and my mattress perfect. Baby, let me tap on your... You want to make money, make love and memories. You want the penthouse suite with all the amenities. You want acknowledgement for your bravery, not sympathy. You want to be held tight and kissed gently. You want to be free to be yourself without penalty. You want that chemistry. You want to really be heard and not just pretend to be. You want.
So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of cut Pardi a little short there, as I'm sure you all are starting to get the picture here. And then Pardi had some back and forths on Twitter, and he arguing with Tory Lanez, and I mean he was just all in. And I seen women just overly excited during that time, like, oh, that's a real man. He got her back. That's what needs to happen. And hey, you right. If you locked in with your lady, that's what he's supposed to do. Now, I don't agree with the feminist tattoo, but getting his ladies back, expressing his love for his lady, cool. But what mistake did Pardi make? Okay, what mistake did he make? Well, as you know, Meg is now dating a Belgian soccer player. Yeah, she's no longer with Pardi. And people have been saying, oh, you see, that's just such a sucker. He went out and he did all this and said this, and it just shows you can't believe in love, and look what happened. Nah, that's not what that shows. That's not what that shows at all. And it's these same women who were saying, oh, that's what love's supposed to be. But now you're like, oh, well, this and that. Nobody will take any kind of accountability. All I'm saying is, you don't know what he did. You don't know what he could have said. You don't know. And that's true. We don't know. We don't know. Absolutely right. But you also didn't know how he was having her back. You didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, but you wanted to pencil him in as the greatest example of how a black man should love a black woman that we've seen since damn, quote unquote, y'all say Barack and Michelle. But I'm going to tell y'all what Pardi's mistake was. So if you remember at trial, because I remember this coming across the TV screen, he talked about how, and Meg said it too, it was embarrassing for him to have to sit through that trial and hear as they relived her sexual history. Yeah, it was embarrassing for him to sit there and hear them talk about all the people in the industry she done fucked. All right? So, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, oh, it won't be long now. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to put this at a local level. You can damn be fucking with somebody who just really been out there, but everybody don't know that. See, you can move and people don't know what kind of past you have or what kind of past your significant other have. But once you in that spotlight and the world know, that's a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. Now the mistake that Pardi made is he was thinking, yeah, I'm the one. I'm the one, and I'm going to show her how much I love her. And no matter all the relationships that was just bullet point material that she's recently been in, you see she had ties to the baby, Moneybag, Tory Lanez, I forgot the others it said, but again, and what I'm saying is this. I'm not here to fry Meg. That's not what I'm here for. But you may say, well, I know women locally who have a higher body count than that. Okay. But again, it's not in the public spotlight. It's not worldwide. And that's just the body counts that we know about. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But the mistake that Pardi made, he was starstruck. Yeah. And I've seen that firsthand. And I remember back in the days coming up, same shit. I done been through that shit. Everybody done been through that shit. It might be a woman that you looking at like, boy, ain't nobody else, you know what I'm saying? They can't get her, or she bad. Now I got her. Boy, you go all in thinking you got you something. You know what I'm saying? And you hop out there too quick with the accolades, putting on a pedestal. You hop out there too quick, want to go public with the relationship. You hop out there too quick, making sure you defending everything like he was, making sure you get all in and let her know that you got her back and she your woman and everything is good. But he was a victim of, she didn't love him like he loved her. Now I did research to see how much shit I could find with her talking about him and bigging him up. I may have came across one video. Now he doing posts, he dropping videos, he writing poems, he writing songs, he tattooing his body. Like all of this shit. Just went in immediately like, oh, I'm all in. Because he was starstruck. Even though he know about her past, he's still like, hey, I'm fucking Meg the Stallion. And I'm going to show her what a real love should be. But again, bro, you in the industry. Second thing is, when you thinking about, do you really think she ready to settle down? Like, this the same hot girl summer. It's the summertime. You're a victim of one of the songs that you helped write. She's living a hot girl summer, and now he's hurt, and people are like, see, that's why you can't. But no, I'm explaining it. He did too much, too soon, and a lot of mistakes that people make, they fall head over heels, and the person ain't even damn trying to get into a flip to show that they care about you. They ain't even started the motion of where they finna turn over into a flip, and he already head over heels. I see that shit so much, and I done seen people reach out to me afterwards. Man, you'll see them that first off, you didn't even know they was in a relationship. They'll just hop into a relationship and just pop up out of nowhere in a relationship with somebody who you like, well, damn, when I saw they were with this, oh shit, who am I to ask questions? You just go along with it. Then you see them just head over heels. You know what I'm saying? They might be at Christmas time, they got matching pajamas on, doing all that type shit, and they just started dating at Thanksgiving. So a month later, they matching pajamas, doing all this, his and hers, wearing the cute little shirts. If you find me, return me to Bay. And he got on the shirt saying I'm Bay. All kind of little bullshit like that. And then 3 months down the road, after New Year's is over, after damn spring and the summer about to hit, here come my phone ringing. Man, bro, like, damn, can you believe? Absolutely, I can believe it. You didn't fully vet this woman, man. Like, you just hopped out here, head over heels, and women, y'all don't get a pass. I done seen y'all do the same with dudes. Dude might like a picture and ask you out on a date. Y'all go out on a date. You start posting damn anonymous shit to try and say you in a relationship without saying it. Like, man, if y'all just heard what Bay said. Bay so funny, but you never saying who Bay is. Or when you finally do post, you putting a smiley face over his head. Like, cause you don't want to show, cause in the back of your mind, you know you being foolish. And you'll say, oh nah, I'm protecting my relationship. Nah, you're not. Because if you know what the relationship built on, and you really got faith and trust in that person, what you hiding from? That shit don't even make no sense to me. What is you hiding from? You can't find no picture from me or my old lady where we covering each other up with a smiley face. Or we taking a picture, backs turned, so all you can see is the back. And you can't see. No, y'all not vetting these people, man. Like, y'all got to cut it out. And the other thing y'all got to cut out, stop letting celebrities and stop letting people who have never had a successful relationship tell you how to be in your relationship. I never understood that. Y'all will look at some shit and like, well, yeah, cause see, you know, Cardi took Offset back. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? What the hell does that have to do with you? Cardi's a millionaire. Offset's a millionaire. You sit here worried about comparing it, taking somebody back. And I'm not shitting on nobody's jobs. But you sitting here letting a nigga cheat on you and taking them back, coming home from the chicken plant because you said Cardi took Offset back. Are you being hesitant on showing how much you love your old lady because some niggas who have never been in a successful relationship, who aren't in a relationship, tell you that shit ain't cool? Man, tell them folk to go to hell. Because you cannot live your life based on what somebody else say. But so many of y'all do it. And then you wonder like, well, why that didn't work out for me? That worked out because that wasn't your plan. That's why it didn't work out for you. That wasn't your thoughts. That wasn't your feelings. You based your reactions off what somebody else is saying. And when you do that, hey, you gonna turn out like Pardi. Just went all in too fast, putting it on a pedestal. And here's the other thing. I'm going to say this and then we're going to move on. So many times we get caught up in vain shit. But she got a fat ass. But she got money. But you see, it's nothing. We not getting down to the root of. Strip away the ass. Strip away the good looks. Strip away whatever it is that you are so attracted to. What's in here? What's in that person's heart and what's here? What's in between their ears? What's in their mind? But see, the world is programming people and everything they put in front of your face has got to be what your eyes see. You don't even want to get to know the significant other because all you doing is looking at the outside appearance. Man, that shit fade away. But what they built on in the inside, in their mind frame, that's what you need to start focusing on. And if you get one that has that and the looks to go with it, you hit the jackpot. But don't just get caught up in the looks because that shit, man, it ain't never go last. All right, so now what we go transition into. Tonight we go talk about greed, man. Greed. So, we go watch this video. I came across this video. It was a 60 Minutes interview that they did with Tim Donaghy. Tim Donaghy was, if you're a sports fan, you know that name. He was an NBA referee. Years ago, got caught betting on the games, and a lot of them were games he refereed. His win percentage was 75% of his bets he won. But we go watch this video, and I'm going to stop it at different points to break it down just to show y'all and compare it to real life situations, how we get caught up in greed. And then I'm going to also, those of you who are sports fans, and as you looking at the NBA Finals right now, I want you to think about this. It's another referee under investigation, Eric Lewis, for having a Twitter burner account where he talking about the game. So now they've said he can't referee the finals. But what about the other games he's refereed? Did anybody think that when sports betting became legal, even before it did y'all think that this wasn't possible? Do y'all think these are the only two? See, they ain't the only ones who greedy. The NBA greedy as well. But let's get into the video. Tim Donaghy, 60 Minutes.
Telling us why he bet on NBA games, how he won so often, and how his world collapsed. And what...
And before I continue the video, I fast-forwarded through that part. But the guy was making $300,000 a year refereeing games. 300 racks a year to referee basketball.
What a world it was. It was your dream job.
Yes.
Why?
I think I had an opportunity to run up and down the floor with the greatest athletes in the world. I just love the game of basketball. Growing up, my goal was to somehow be a part of it.
So everything was going just fine.
It was a dream situation all around.
And then you committed the cardinal sin. You started betting on NBA games, including games that you were reffing yourself.
Yes.
What were you thinking?
Obviously, I wasn't thinking to cross that line.
Why do you think you did it?
Because I fell into an addiction of gambling.
How did it begin?
Playing golf at country clubs and card games.
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there. Now, notice he said it was his dream job, being around athletes. Then the interviewer asked him, well, how did it begin? Country clubs, at people's houses, playing cards. So let me tell you basically what he became a victim of his environment. Think about this. He's seeing these millionaires run up and down the floor. They making millions of dollars and he making $300,000. $300,000 is good money. But he watching them. Notice he mentioned country clubs and people's houses. Country clubs. When you're at country clubs gambling, first of all, most country clubs, when they say there's a difference between the golf course and a country club. Now, when you go to a country club, that's exclusive shit that you got to be a member of. And usually you got to have some bread or got to have a contact to be a member. Now, think of these relationships he probably built at the country club. And they're like, hey, yeah, Tim, come on over to the house. And he going over seeing these rich people's houses, sitting up in there, millionaire homes, around millionaires playing cards and gambling. Keep watching the video.
In country clubs and people's houses. And it just evolved from those type of situations to betting on athletic contests.
From card games to athletic contests to the NBA.
Yes.
Donaghy was betraying everything he and his family stood for. His father had been a respected ref in college basketball. Tim followed in his footsteps and went even further, making it to the NBA. But Tim said betting was more powerful than all of that, and winning was ecstasy. And did betting on the NBA give you a higher high than betting on other sports?
I think it gave me a higher high because I was able to predict the outcome of the games. And I think when you talk about gambling and the euphoria that comes with it, making winning picks is what excites you.
Euphoria. Real euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as you know, you were the only ref who was placing bets?
As far as I understand, yes.
All right, and I'm going to pause it right there because he said a lot of stuff I don't want to go over y'all's head. Euphoria. Anybody who ever been in any street shit, you done been around people like this. I have. They done made plenty of money they can get out the game. I'ma just do it for another year. Boom. Get hit, go away 10, 15. I done had that happen to several homeboys. Done made plenty of bread, can get out the game, thinking that they can just keep scoring and going. And then next thing you know, they catch a bid. You know? And some of them have told me, man, you know, it's just that feeling of the hustle, man. Like, that's what I'm addicted to, that feeling. And that's what he's saying, euphoria. But if you pay attention, he said, did anybody else that you know of, are you the only referee that you know of that was betting on the games? You notice how he responded. He didn't say no. He said, to my understanding, yes. So in other words, he know he ain't the only one. And he probably blew the whistle on others who were doing it. They investigated them and they came back and said, hey, Tim, we didn't find nothing that we could prove that they were also fixing games. That's why he said, to my understanding. He's smooth how he answered them questions.
How many games did you bet on?
I think I bet on probably over 100 games.
Over 100. And how many of those were you reffing yourself?
A lot.
And here's what you may find difficult to believe. Donaghy says that while his betting may have been illegal, his reffing was always honest. You're insisting that your betting did not influence the way you called a game. Why should we believe you?
Because the FBI did a thorough investigation, and even the NBA concluded that I did not fix games in the NBA.
See what he say? FBI did a thorough investigation. Now, as you continue and we continue to watch the video, you go see, like, he cooperated. So he definitely pointed the finger at some others. They investigated. They didn't find anything, which is why he said, to my understanding, yes, I'm the only one. Here we go.
That's right. A 29-year FBI veteran, Special Agent Philip Scala, led the investigation of Donaghy. He told us that Donaghy convinced him.
He said, knowing the information that I had, I didn't have to do anything on the court to pick a winner. I could pick a winner 80% of the time, just knowing what I knew an hour before the game.
Now, this where it get dicey. And sports fans, you need to pay attention, because when y'all be thinking that shit ain't rigged, this gets real dicey. Now, he's saying he didn't fix none of the games with calls, but the information he had, he already knew which way he needed to bet. And he was successful 75% of the time. And he bet on over 100 games. Keep paying attention.
And watching the tapes, we could see that there was never something outlandish where you could see he called a foul or he omitted a foul because he wanted to see certain team win. We never saw that.
The NBA's investigation came to the same surprising conclusion. Quote, it seems plausible to us that Donaghy may not have manipulated games. We are unable to contradict the government's conclusion. When you were reffing a game, didn't it come to your mind that you'd bet on one team and not on the other?
I tried to put it out of my mind, and I think that I was able to do that.
In one game, you were betting on San Antonio, but you threw their coach, Greg Popovich, out of the game.
And now, Greg Popovich has been tossed.
I didn't think about the bet during the game, and in my mind, he needed to be ejected.
Losing their coach cost San Antonio the game and cost Donaghy his bet. But that didn't happen very often. Donaghy claims, and the FBI concurs, that he won 70 to 80% of his NBA bets. You told the FBI, this is a quote, you don't realize how easy this was for me knowing what I know.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly did you know?
I knew that there were certain relationships that existed between referees and players, referees and coaches, and referees and owners that influence the point spreads in games.
What's the point?
So hearing this, how can we ever think that sports is 100% just based on the athletes between the lines, and whoever come out on top, come out on top? He just said it. He placed bets based on the relationships he knew that certain referees had with certain players, that they had with certain coaches, and they had with certain ownership.
Spread.
A point spread is where a team is favored to win or lose by a certain amount of points.
You say that certain refs like or dislike certain players, certain coaches, certain general managers,
and certain.
He was shaking his head the whole time. I know if you just on the audio only, you ain't gonna see that, but he was shaking his head yes the whole time.
Owners.
You told us, I knew these guys, knew who they liked, who they despised, and who they would help or screw over. For example, Donaghy cited tempestuous superstar Allen Iverson. Some refs liked him, some did not. Natural enough. But Donaghy said several refs would let their feelings influence their calls by either favoring Iverson or favoring his opponents, and that would affect the score.
And I knew those relationships, whether they were positive or negative, had an effect on the game.
So you knew when Iverson was playing, and you knew which refs were there, you knew whether to bet on the Iverson team or on the other team?
Yes.
Iverson wouldn't talk to us. He didn't want refs to get mad at him. But his manager told us that the way the refs were treating him, some for, some against, made him sick.
I do believe Allen Iverson knew this, and I believe all the players know this, that certain referees treat them much better than others.
Donaghy told us that 2 years ago, Iverson had incurred the wrath of the refs.
He had threatened one of our officials, and the NBA fined him $25,000, and we felt as a group that he should have been suspended. And because he wasn't, we felt like we would teach him a lesson.
During that time, you worked an Iverson game January 6, 2007, so you bet against Iverson's team.
Correct.
Because you knew that all the refs were gunning for him. This was openly discussed.
Openly discussed. And
now, you know how crazy this is? Like, and this was years ago. I don't see the exact date. Oh, 2009. Yeah, 2009. Years ago this was. And we supposed to think that right now that they not fixing games.
And I knew that the other two referees and I sought out to do a little justice of our own.
The refs quickly called curious fouls on Iverson, including rarely called fouls for palming.
And Iverson still upset about that palming call.
They threw his game off, and his team lost. According to the game's announcers, even late in the game, you kept hurting Iverson's team by letting defenders bludgeon him without calling any fouls. Watch.
Tim Donaghy will not call a foul when Iverson goes to basket. About 3 in a row where he got to the basket, got fouled.
So basically, they giving AI street justice.
We're looking at a foul that was let go. Obviously, in the pregame meetings, we came to the conclusion that we were not going to give Allen Iverson any marginal plays to the basket. And that absolutely should have been called a foul that I and the other referees passed on.
Did anyone in the NBA know about it?
There was a group supervisor at the game that came in at halftime who was laughing and stated that he felt that Iverson had gotten the message.
So the supervisor approved of your punishing Iverson?
Yes.
Boy, now they all was in on it. Him, the supervisor, the other refs, like we gonna give him some street justice because he threatened one of our own. Man.
The NBA would not let that supervisor or any of its refs talk to us. In that game, Donaghy did make calls that helped him win his bet, but he insists that wasn't the point. He says all he wanted to do was punish Iverson. But yes, he did win his bet. Special Agent Philip Scala, who retired from the FBI last year, told us Donaghy would bet on a game when he knew who the refs were and that they felt strongly about certain players. What does that tell you about how certain refs call games?
Most of the refs, we believed, were honest in calling the game as they had seen it. There was this aspect of judgment. A person should understand his bias and make sure he leaves that on the sideline.
But obviously that wasn't the case, or else Donaghy wouldn't have been picking 80% of the games.
There seemed to be some bleeding in that in that area.
Some bleeding sounds to me like an understatement.
Well, it could be.
Now, you say that Donaghy cooperated with you. If he had lied to you, he would have faced a much longer sentence, no?
Yeah, so long as he was completely honest and omitted nothing, the FBI would stand by him. If we ever found out that there was a lie, that cooperation agreement would be ripped up.
And that never happened?
That never happened.
Donaghy told the FBI and us that NBA headquarters inadvertently helped him pick winners by sending refs instructions before a game. For example, he says he won several bets in a row by putting his money on the Los Angeles Lakers because he knew the league was going to favor their star, Kobe Bryant.
People be saying the same thing now in some situations where Bron at. Face of the NBA. Kobe was the face of the NBA then. You see what he said? They would get a report before the games to show that, hey, we want to favor Kobe tonight.
He knew it because the Lakers had complained that refs had missed calling fouls on defenders who'd been blocking Bryant.
The Lakers had sent in a CD of 25 plays that they felt calls were missed when Kobe Bryant went to the basket. And I understood from the NBA office that 22 of those plays were missed by the referees. And I knew that Kobe Bryant was basically going to be given the opportunity to go to the foul line if somebody as much as breathed on him.
The NBA says its instructions to refs are meant to improve officiating. But Donaghy says those directives made it easy for him to pick winners.
Because it was inside information along the lines of knowing that a certain stock was going to be bought out before the opening bell in the stock market. So it's almost a guarantee.
Here's more of what you did. You would telephone refs who were about to officiate a game and pump them for information before the game. What kind of information are you looking for?
If there was a situation where there was a payback in order from a previous game.
Injuries?
Injuries certainly played a factor of just little gossip conversations that I would use in making a pick.
But the other refs did not know that you were using this information to place bets?
No.
So you were betraying your fellow referees?
Unfortunately, yes.
One former ref who feels betrayed is Mike Mathis, who used to head the referees union. He told us that refs speak openly among themselves about their personal prejudices.
In locker rooms, okay, referees do talk about players. You know, if a guy is sitting there saying he don't like so-and-so and this guy does this and he won't, keep his mouth shut, da-da-da-da-da, I can see where he could take that information and use it.
But Mathis says he was stunned that Donaghy actually did use it to place bets. And what do you think of what Donaghy did?
It's reprehensible. It took a career of mine, 25 years, and sort of washed it down the toilet.
So Donaghy really spoiled the reputation of all of you guys?
No doubt.
Now, Donaghy was the only one who did prison time. But what this guy's saying is just the fact that now all the eyes came on it. Him having 25 years of going by the book, which is debatable, it put a stain on him.
Mike Mathis is a man you respect, right?
Sure.
Mathis said your betting on NBA games was reprehensible. You agree?
Absolutely.
Did you feel that you were doing something wrong?
Sure, but obviously it was easy and it was exciting, and I actually didn't realize the consequences of my actions.
You didn't know that you were doing something that could get you into trouble?
Obviously it was in the back of my head, but I think you just go with the notion that you're not going to be caught.
You thought you could get away with it?
Yes.
And Donaghy might well have gotten away with it. He might still be...
Now here come the part where it's going to show you when you don't know when to stop and when that greed take over. This where his life got completely turned upside down.
He'll be reffing and betting today, but he fell in with the mob. How the mob brought him down when we come back.
Now check this out.
Tim Donaghy, the NBA ref who bet on games he officiated, was placing those bets through a friend. He was too scared of getting caught to do it himself. And their winning streak went on uninterrupted for 3 years. But in the 4th year, that friend let slip that he was getting his betting tips from an NBA ref.
Doing it through a friend, then got away with it for 3 years. And in the 4th year, the friend, let me tell y'all where I'm getting this information from. You see why people say when you doing some bullshit, do it yourself. Because you ain't gonna tell on yourself. But you out here doing shit with folk who you think, oh yeah, nah, he had to really, because they probably was on a hot streak. Somebody said, man, how you doing this? Instead of him just playing it cool, man, shit, I got a home, I'm plugged in. Motherfuckers love to show that they plugged in on something. If niggas love that shit. Oh yeah, I'm plugged in, I got to connect. Keep watching the video.
Mob found out about it and wanted in on the action. That's when Donaghy discovered what it means to be really scared. It started outside this hotel in Philadelphia. The FBI says 2 men associated with the Gambino crime family requested a meeting with Donaghy. They took him for a ride.
They came down and picked me up.
They picked you up? Mm-hmm. And what happened then?
They basically told me that I needed to give them the pics, and if I didn't, that it's a possibility that somebody would go down and visit my wife and kids in Florida.
Now these folk know where this man family at, all off of him in bed with the wrong person, running his mouth, and again, his greed. Bro, he done ran this for 3 years, but just pay attention to how greed really overtook him, because in the end, you gonna see, it wasn't even worth it.
Wow. And you believed him?
Yes.
Were you scared?
Sure.
From then on, his picks were relayed to the mob. And how did you communicate your bets?
I would discuss it with a high school friend of mine who would pass the information along to them.
And was there a code?
Yes. The code was if I wanted them to bet the home team, I would discuss his brother Chuck, and if I wanted him to bet the visiting team, I would mention his brother Johnny.
Do you have any notion how much the mob made off of Donaghy?
The FBI is very, very conservative in those aspects. We felt comfortable saying it was at least a few $1 million.
At least
conservatively,
a few million.
That went into the coffers of organized crime.
And how much?
Now, conservatively is the word he used. They made a few $1 million, which means that's the low end number. And you know, dealing with the mob, organized crime, they putting that high dollar on that bet. Boy.
How much were you making?
I was making $2,000 per correct pick.
$2,000?
Now you see how stupid this sounds? He had to ask him again. Hold on, let me let y'all hear him ask him.
$1,000 per correct pick. It seems like peanuts if they were making millions.
It was.
What?
Now, if you don't see how greed overtakes someone, this man got a flat rate job of $300,000 a year. He betting on games. $2,000? Boy.
Why didn't you ask for more money?
It wasn't about the money at that point.
It wasn't about the money.
It was just about getting through the season and hoping that it ended.
Because the mob put a lot of money on his picks, they were not good losers. We told you that in one game, Donaghy threw out the coach of the team they were betting on. That cost the mob the bet, and they were not happy.
They had questions as to why I did it.
And what did you tell them?
I just told them that I wasn't making calls in games to influence the outcome, and I'm not going to be able to obviously predict the winner every night, and they have to accept that that's what's going to happen.
Did the mob accept that?
I'm not sure that they accepted it or not, but that was the information that I passed to them.
So now he done got in here with these folks. They not playing with him. They already done told him, hey man, get this right, or we gonna have to go down here and pay your family a visit. but then he want to nut up. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to throw Greg Popovich out, and they go lose their bet, and then he want to talk shit. Let's see how that turned out for him.
As it turned out, his mob connection brought him down. The FBI, which was monitoring mob phone calls, heard that an NBA ref was betting on games. The information made it to Special Agent Philip Scala, who headed the FBI's Gambino Family Task Force.
One of the case agents had come into my office and said that they had information from a wiretap stating that there was huge sums of money being made and that someone thought that a ref may be involved.
So you got
another lesson, wiretaps. Y'all be talking too much. Phones, social media, just talking. You got to tell everything. Like, and this was way back in 2009. And niggas is still just talking at an alarming rate. Just over the phones, like they don't have this shit tapped where they can listen or go back and pull phone records and text messages.
got to Donaghy through the mob, really.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't gotten involved with the mob, you might still be out there reffing and betting on your own games.
Possibly.
So your big mistake was getting involved with the mob.
No, my big mistake was crossing that line and where I bet in the first place.
Tell me about the moment that you realized that the FBI knew that you'd be betting on NBA games.
A sickening feeling. You know, the realization of that happening was just sickening.
Now, once you were caught, you decided to come clean and cooperate. Why?
I knew I did something that was obviously a bad choice, and I decided that moving forward it was not only in my best interest but my family's best interest to try and cut my losses.
You call it a bad choice. Isn't that something of an understatement?
Sure. It was a horrible choice.
He cooperated with the FBI to get a lighter sentence, but that exposed him to some dark problems. Were you contacted by anyone in the mob?
There were threats made to my home phone.
What kind of threats did you receive?
Death threats.
What did they say?
That I was going to be killed.
Did you believe them?
I wasn't sure.
Donaghy was sentenced to 1 year in prison, where he found he was not safe from the mob. He was threatened, then attacked.
There was one guy who claimed that he was associated with the mob and that he was going to get a gun and eventually blow my head off and break my kneecaps.
His head was untouched, but months later, one knee still needs therapy.
He whacked me with a stick and did some damage to my knee.
Man, listen, man. I'm going to put the video in the bio. You can go in and check it. But we going to stop it right there because you should be done heard enough. This is a classic example. When greed in chasing the feeling of a hustle or the adrenaline rush it gives you when you think you're getting away with something. And not knowing, see, my pops used to have something that he would say to me, boy, you too smart for your own good. And I never understood what he was saying, but I get it. Sometimes we be so smart where we think we outsmarting others, but it's really to our detriment. That's what it was with him. He thinking, well, I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm locked in with my high school friend. Everything going good. We getting money. And if you go and watch the entire video, guess what the FBI found out his total earnings was for betting on games for 3 years? It wasn't even in the millions of dollars. It wasn't even $250,000. He placing small bets. His total purse was $100,000. Now, for $100,000, over 3 years, not even lump sum money, over 3 years, $100,000. You lost your $300,000 job. You're a felon. You got tied in with the mob. They looking at you as a rat. You went to jail. You had court fees and all that you had to pay. They whooped your ass in jail. You see what he say? He got a knee that still need therapy. And if you watch later in the video, his wife left him and took the 4 kids with her. So you lost everything over greed and a feeling you said this was bringing you, thinking you doing something when you was too smart for your own good. Because he even said, how did you know the FBI was on to you? I just had this sick feeling. And I done talked, like I said, I done had that feeling when I was in the streets. Hey man, I just feel like some shit ain't gonna go right. But see, I was different. I was smart. I knew like, boy, it's time to leave this shit alone. And then slowly the people who I was with that didn't leave it alone started catching them big boy cases. Gone for a minute. Losing their lives. Losing family members. Old lady leaving them. Shit like that. This same shit. But we got to understand, like, and ask yourself, when is enough enough? Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that. When is enough enough? Like, you can live comfortably off $300,000. And this was back in 2009. He making $300,000 a year. If he was still reffing and he was one of the best referees at that time, he'd probably be hitting the mill. But for greed, man, you sacrifice all of that. And that's the same shit. Hey, it's a lot of Tim Donaghys walking around right around you right now. Now, they might not be getting the amount of money he was getting, but they've got some form of hustle, or they have some form of living that works for them, but it ain't enough. They want to turn to do some illegal shit. They want to scam. That's the new thing now. Oh, man, I'm scamming. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I got a job. It's a good job. I'm scamming on the side. I need a little more. Nah. You got to be able to understand when you get that gut feeling. A lot of y'all don't have your gut or your conscience trained. So when it's talking to you, you don't understand it. Because you just used to ignoring it all the time and doing the opposite. Start listening to it sometime. And once it gets trained and you get that feeling like, nah, something ain't right there. You don't know how many times I done avoided situations. But nah, I don't feel like this right. I ain't going. Somebody end up getting shot. Somebody end up dying in a car wreck. Somebody get to fighting. Somebody get locked up by the police. Always, when I be like, I don't know. I don't feel right about that. It always turned out that I had the right feeling. I shouldn't have been doing it. Let that be a lesson to y'all. I thought this was a very fitting video. Like, man, this man had it. He was living his dream. It was his dream to go and be a referee. He knew he didn't have the skills to play ball. His dad was a known referee at the college level. He exceeded his dad, made it to the NBA. Like he said, his dream job. And if you hear later in the video, if you watch the whole video, he said he can't even watch the games now. Because it makes him emotional. He wish he could be out there refereeing. But so many times we just get caught up in the moment. And before we know it, it spirals out of control. And instead of dealing with the shit head on and reeling it back in, we just riding away wherever it takes us. Take you out to sea and down, throw you in a current and drown your ass, which is what happened to him. And then you're like, damn, you know, what could have been. But yo, it's the episode for the night. Keep in mind, the audio episode drops every Friday on all major podcast platforms. Video episode drops on Thursday. I'm still working out that Patreon. I got some new content that I'm coming with in the next month or two. That's going to be way different from what I'm doing now. But it's a need. and I want to make sure that I plug in for that need to make sure that, you know, I can be a connect on that. But again, if you got any content you want me to review or anything you want me to talk about, I say podcast@gmail.com. That's the email. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, rate, review, turn your notifications on. Until next time, it's true.
Come and sit down, you gotta stand on it. If it's for certain, let's have a round, you gotta stand on it. Open the curtain, it's going down, you gotta stand on it. Cause I put my stamp on it, so you gotta stand. You gotta stand on it. 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 You gotta stand.